This is the last video I'll make tonight. I've made a few actually philosophical type videos, because I couldn't really get to sleep. But I think this one will be interesting. I was at an event last night whereby various people were involved in the event, but basically someone got up on the stage to talk about the real meaning of Christmas and what should be the real meaning of Christmas. Christ Mass. Now I know there's arguments from pagans who say that Christians stole the idea and so on, but there's I think by now it's fair to say that there is a Christian heritage with Christmas. Okay, there might be an older pagan heritage, but nevertheless there is also a Christian heritage. I don't think we can deny that. I would like to talk a little about what this guy was coming out with, because it did catch my attention. He was quite a fundamentalist in my opinion. What he was saying was Christ died for our sins. Because we are sinners, and that was Christ's sacrifice for humankind. Because we are sinners, we deserve to die. Because we do not love God enough. That's basically what the guy was saying. And I was sort of cringing when I heard this. And there was kind of a discussion thing afterwards, and I was quite frank about my views. I said, I don't agree with that. Not to him, it was like little group things, but the title I'll give this video is God as a Dictator. Because what this guy was saying pretty much summed that up. You don't love me, so you deserve to die. That's what he was saying. If you don't love God, you deserve to die. We deserve to die because we don't love God enough. This sort of fundamentalism takes away human frailties. It takes away, this is even going into whether you believe in God or not. Let's just assume for a minute that you do believe in God. Well then we're ignoring the human frailty factor. People will always make mistakes. You could be the most righteous person in the world, always try and do the right thing, always tell the truth, etc. You'll still have flaws and you will still make mistakes. And this is a problem I have with some fundamentalist Christians. They're puritanical. They're trying to strive for perfection, and they'll never, ever, ever be perfect. But I'd like to delve into a bit more about the realm about God as a dictator. Now, there is a certain argument to be had here. If you look at famous dictators in history, Chairman Mao, Idi Amin, and others, there's a personality cult around them. And that also takes a line that if you criticise them, then you will be persecuted, denounced, called a traitor, etc., etc., etc. And fundamentalist religion, particularly the Abrahamic religions, particularly Islam and Christianity, have a habit of sort of modelling God as a dictator. This all-powerful God who you believe in him or you die. The Christian argument, fundamentalist Christian argument, is if you don't believe in God, you'll die in the fiery pits of hell. Now there's lots of ambiguous sort of interpretations of that. They would say that's why missions are necessary, missionary work. I think this concept of if God is a loving creator, then that is not consistent with dictatorial tendencies. It's inconsistent. And that's just an absurd sort of, to me that shows brainwashed Christianity. We don't love God enough, so we deserve to die. That's crazy. Now if you're a believer, if you believe in God, I can understand the argument that from a believer's point of view that God created everything, we owe gratitude to him. But the idea you deserve to die because you don't believe in him or because you don't love him enough, that's It's just sycophantic bullshit. It's God as the dictator model. Um, and this is one reason I don't follow organized religion. Now, I'm someone who actually does believe in a sort of a God. I just can't put my finger on who or what God is. I don't even think that's the most important thing. I don't think we have to actually have a caricature image of God, some big man with a flowing beard or something. Um, I'm not anti. I'm not an atheist. I do believe there is something more than just matter. Um, I almost have a view whereby science itself is almost godlike. I believe in some sort of deity, something controlling the human cycle of the world. All the good and all the bad. I believe it's all part of a bigger picture. Um, there's great cruelty in the world and great unfairness, but there's also a lot of beauty. Um, there's mountains, there's rivers, there's things that are timeless, that surpass all war, all famine, all human suffering. Um, and even within the human world, it isn't all bad. There's lots of positive, good things. But I have no interest whatsoever in worshipping a god who believes I should die if I don't love him enough. To hell with that idea. Even if God does exist, I don't want any interest in that God. A God that believes I should die, and there's also another argument to be had about what sort of God it is. Is it a fair God? When you have a situation that innocent children are washed away in floods in Bangladesh, or killed in conflicts, and then you have multi-millionaire corrupt bankers living into their 80s, corrupt politicians, or it's does make you wonder, where is the fairness in the world when you have dictators like Idi Amin dying in luxury whilst their people are persecuted? Then where's the fairness in this world? What sort of God would allow that situation? Some would say God gives people choice. Children don't have a choice. The mentally disabled don't have a choice. Political dissidents don't have a choice when they're locked up simply for having an opinion. So I reject that. And this is why I have a problem with organised religion. It's because of the dogmatic nature of it, because of the fact that it denounces humanity, the fact it's so cold towards the nature of humanity. Will never be good enough. We're always looked down on by this so-called benevolent God. My message to hardline theocrats: you're never going to be good enough. No matter how pure you think you are, you'll never be good enough. It's a bit like, I could give a parallel. If you have a girl who has little confidence and she feels she always has to wear makeup, she always has to really dress up to impress some man, she always has to go out of her way to impress him, or vice versa. If you have a guy who regards himself as a bit nerdy or something, and he believes he has to go out of his way to impress the girl of his dreams, he has to do all sorts of things to tie in with her expectations. This is a bit like Christianity in some ways, because Christians go out of their way to please God. They go out of their way to model their lives around what they think God will want. That's not free. That's not liberty. Modeling your lives around someone else's desire or a higher deity's desire. That's shallow, in my opinion. It's now, I've no problem with religious people who feel that religion gives them stability in life. It gives them a source for standing by certain values. I've no problem with that. What I do have a problem with is when religion dictates how we should lead our lives, when it controls our lives. And this statement, the guy was coming out with this, I really thought he was full of crap, to be quite honest. God as a dictator. I have no time for that sort of God. And this isn't necessarily the same as being anti-religion. I believe religion has a lot of positive aspects, but I have no time for a dictatorial God. I'm a free man. I make my choices. I'm flawed. I make mistakes. I do good things. I do bad things. But I'm a free man. I make my own choices. And I'm no one's slave. And I do believe, and it's the same with a lot of Muslims who boast about being slaves to Allah, who boast about being having their entire lives controlled by Allah. This is really, I have no time for a dictatorial God, because no matter what positive things you argue that God has done, that does not justify dictatorialism. That's not benevolence and it's not liberty, so stop kidding yourselves that it is.